Hey everybody, we are on the very last of the 8-part series for the Foundational Health series. If you have fresh goals for this year and you're trying to improve your health, this series is going to help you a ton with that. The very first thing we went over is setting goals. Most people fail each year, and a lot of that comes down to how they actually set their goals. So we went over that and then a ton of other health related stuff, which I'll show you in just a second. This is our very last one where I'm going to take you through the special tools that you can use to help improve your health and give you extra momentum moving forward into this year. But first, before we get going here, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Logan Grundy. I'm the owner at Peak Health Revolution, where I've helped over 150 hikers and outdoor adventure athletes get into the mountains, go further, go faster, and do it pain-free so that they can do it year in and year out. I'm also a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner that practices in Vernon, British Columbia at Habitat Health, who have helped over 1,000 people get out of pain and regulate their nervous system through acupuncture and Chinese medicine. If any of that is of interest to you guys can find me at peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com. So again, if you have questions as I go through any of this and you want to send me a message, peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com. We've already talked about setting our goals, nutrition, breathing, sleeping, movement recovery, building habits, which goes back to number one of setting our goals and then breaking it all the way down to our daily habits. So those two super powerful episodes, not to say the rest aren't helpful, but I find those ones very, very effective. If you don't have good goals and habits and routines, the rest of it just kind of falls apart. This is week 8. We're talking about the extra kind of bonus tools that we can use to help with our health. So these ones are kind of the fun additions. Let's zoom into it. Additional tools. So here's our first question. Are they necessary? No, they are not. By all means, they are not necessary, but they are exciting. When we go out and buy new things, we get that little dopamine hit. It arrives in the mail, or we go out and buy it. We're excited about it, which means we're more likely to adhere to actually using said tool. When we have that momentum, we build in that habit. We become a healthier person. We become that version of ourselves that we want to be. And that makes us more successful in our goals for the year. So over 90% of people fail with the resolutions they make each year towards their health, whether that's physical, mental, emotional. And the reason a lot of that is because one, they don't have clear goals, and two, they don't have the habits, routines, and the momentum and discipline necessary to make that happen. So this is where we can gain a little extra momentum, is using some of these. So if you guys haven't seen the previous episodes, make sure to go watch those. Those are the staples, the must-haves, kind of the low-hanging fruit that move the dial the most for us. And this is the fun, exciting stuff that I wanted to share with you guys as kind of a bonus. What do we got here? So but you guys, another thing that comes up a lot is like, do we need these things? No, we do not. But if we have deficiencies in our body, so think in this sense, a lot of the times what we're going to talk about down here is like nutritional supplements, or like when our body is deficient, we need something to actually physically be putting into that body to help support it. We can't always be taking. Think about it like a bank account. Sometimes you need to just go make a big deposit, and that's going to help you a ton. So if your body is kind of in this deficient, lethargic, fatigued state, sometimes just adding can make a huge difference to your health, giving you that energy back, giving you the building blocks you actually need to be successful. So while none of this stuff is necessary, if there's deficiencies there, adding inputs is super helpful, and just building excitement around it helps with adherence. So I've broken it down into a couple little categories of what I think can be the most beneficial things. So when we're talking about our physical body, things that are going to go a long way and cost very little money for us to go invest into are a foam roller and a ball. The ball I suggest is get a lacrosse ball. That thing is literally bulletproof. Well, I guess it's not literally bulletproof, but it is super sturdy ball. It's got that grip on it, so it's not going to go shooting out across the floor on you. And you can take it anywhere. You can travel with it. You can take it on hikes. You can throw it in your gym bag, all that stuff. And foam roller, I would get a full length foam roller. I think you can do more with it than the smaller ones, unless you're traveling a whole bunch. Then obviously that might make sense for you. But foam roller and a ball, a bunch of resistance bands. So go and get one of those packs with everything from the thinnest one to the biggest one. The thin one's great for doing corrective exercise type work, light banded stuff. The heavy one is great for stretching. Basically what we do is called banded distractions, or like stretching with a band, where we're pulling on a joint to add to the stretch to it. So you use the whole range of bands. Obviously the middle ones we can use for exercises if we're on the road or if we're just working out from home, those kind of things. Resistance bands super helpful, and again super inexpensive to get, easy to travel with, those types of things. So when we're busy, we're on the road, we don't have excuses. Now the last one here, dry brushing, surprisingly underrated. It is so good for your skin. Your skin is obviously the big organ of your body that we don't realize or consider very often, but the health of your skin is super important. It also is great at stimulating our lymphatic system. Think of your lymphatic system as like the garbage man that comes every week. So we got to take all that garbage out. And like I said here earlier, having supplements or just even our nutrition is the input. So like think of construction site, building a house, you need stuff coming in, you need lumber, you need cement, rebar, all that stuff coming in. But you also have garbage that you got to take out, which is your lymphatic system getting it out of there. Dry brushing is the best thing I know of for stimulating that lymphatic system. Super easy to do. You're just brushing through your body. If you have questions about that, send me a message, peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com, and I can give you more details on dry brushing for lymphatic drainage. So you guys, those are kind of some quick tools that we can use for our physical body. Then we get into the fun stuff here. If you have a little bit more budget, and especially I find if you are aging, if you're very athletic and need lots of recovery, a cold plunge and heat exposure, so think like sauna, those are gold for your body. They feel so good mentally. This is another good place is if you struggle mentally, especially in the winter, having access to cold and heat, I bet you will completely change how you feel in the winter. So obviously this one, bigger investment. You want a sauna that gets nice and hot, and then a cold plunge. Not as expensive, but you are going to have to think about like, where can I set it up, changing the water, that stuff. But heat and cold exposure, incredibly valuable to the body. PEMF, which is pulsed electromagnetic field, and red light therapy, both fantastic, both going to help a ton with like getting circulation through your body and your actual cellular health. Again, these ones are kind of our bigger, more expensive investments, but I think 100% worth it. If I'm thinking long term, what do I want in my house to take care of my health? Besides the other ones that are kind of smaller no-brainers, these are the things I would have. I would have a sauna, I would have a cold plunge, I would have somewhere where I had a PEMF mat set up and a red light, and I would be doing both of those things every single day if I could, to help with recovery and just general health of my body. So again, if you guys have questions, you guys can send those over to me about those. Now this one, everyone talks about supplements, so I've broken it down into a couple categories for us. The first one, what we see on the screen here, these are all mushrooms that are very beneficial and have really good health benefits to us, really good medicinal properties here. So chaga and turkey tail, primarily we're looking at those two as being really good for our immune system. So if you're getting sick a lot, taking chaga, taking turkey tail, going to help you a ton. Now cordyceps, interesting one. Again, if you're dealing with getting sick a lot in the flu season, and it tends to be respiratory, so getting into your lungs, adding the cordyceps in there is going to help you a ton too. But on the other side, they help our lungs a lot. So if you are somebody who plans on getting up into high elevations or doing a bunch of cardio type work, maybe you're a runner, a triathlete, something like that, where your lungs matter more than the average person, cordyceps are going to help a ton with that. So it can kind of bounce back and forth into two categories. It can either help a lot with our immune system or our kind of physical performance. Reishi, absolutely love reishi. It is so good for helping with our sleep. We'll talk a little bit more about sleep further down and other supplements, but I find reishi before bed so good at helping the nervous system kind of downregulate, chill out, and get a good night's sleep. Obviously, a ton of important things happen when we sleep. If you haven't watched the entire episode, if you want to call it that we did on sleep, go check that one out where we talk about why sleep is so important for us. Everything in the world basically sleeps. Every mammal, every reptile, every bird, every fish, everything sleeps. Even though we've evolved through so much other stuff, we have decided to keep sleep. That's how you know how important sleep is. So reishi is super helpful for that. Lion's mane, if you have any kind of mental degeneration in your family, Alzheimer's, dementia, anything like that, or you're just really forgetful person, lion's mane is neuroprotective, which means it basically protects our brain. So low dose lion's mane over a long period of time, super good for our brain. Now, if you've had a brain injury, something like a concussion, higher dose lion's mane can be very beneficial for us. So I love using lion's mane low dose on a daily level. The other thing is when we take a little bit bigger dose of it too, even if we haven't had something like a concussion, it's really good to help us focus in. So maybe you're having a bit of coffee and a little bit of lion's mane in there or something like that. It's just going to help you focus on your work that much more. So lots of applications for lion's mane. If you've had a bad concussion and you have questions about that and some of the supplements that we can use for that, again, send me a message, peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com, and I can talk you through some of the supplements that we can use shortly after having a concussion that can be beneficial for us. But that's also something, you guys, that being said, if you've had a bad concussion, you definitely want to go get a proper assessment from someone who focuses in on concussion assessment and treatment, because that is something serious that we need to take care of. Our brain's super important to us. So if you have had a concussion, don't just come to me for that list of things. It is nice to have, but definitely go get a proper assessment and make sure you're seeing a doctor for that. These are just basic supplements that I think are the most important kind of stack of things that we can be adding into our diet for most people. Most of us are going to be deficient in these things. I think it's like something around like 82% of people or somewhere in that range are magnesium deficient. Now, I specifically like magnesium threonate because it's the only one that crosses that blood-brain barrier and helps with our sleep. Again, we've talked about how important sleep is. So that's the magnesium that I choose for myself and most of my clients that I work with. Magnesium threonate, super valuable. Take it about an hour before bed is what I try and do. And it's super valuable in helping with the quality of the sleep that you're getting. It's not necessarily going to help you fall asleep or anything like that. It's going to help with the quality of sleep that you're getting. If you are quite far north, getting that vitamin D in through the winter months, incredibly important. If you live in an environment where you get tons of sunlight year round, you probably can just completely skip over this one. Vitamin D, though, so many people get deficient just because they're not getting enough time outside. If you're getting outside, exposing a good chunk of your body to that sunlight, then you're probably good in this department. If winters are cold and dark for you, vitamin D3K2, super important for our body. It's basically like, it helps in so many different areas. You can almost think of it as a vitamin or a hormone. It just helps in so many different areas of our body. But make sure we are taking it with that K2. And if we are going to be taking higher doses, eventually you want to be checking and doing a bit of blood work, making sure that our levels in correlation to other things like calcium are still appropriate for us. Now, next up, omega-3s. I specifically say omega-3s versus you'll see the 369 combo. Just go get the omega-3s. Again, so beneficial when it comes to helping manage inflammation. So if you're having issues with stiffness and pain, especially in your joints, adding some of this in will help with your inflammation. That being said, take a look at your diet. Make sure you're not having something in your diet that's constantly adding inflammation into that system. And also, this is the one that I'm like above everything else. I'm like, make sure you get good quality omegas and that you're storing them properly. Otherwise, they're anti-inflammatory, become pro-inflammatory because they go rancid, and basically we're getting the opposite effect of what we want with our omega-3s if we're getting cheap quality ones that have already gone bad or the processing wasn't good. And then two, once we get them home to our house and we're storing them, we need to make sure they're out of sunlight, out of a really hot environment, taking care of those omegas. Last one here, vitamin C goes back up with that chaga and that turkey tail. So good for our immune system. The less we can get sick, the more we can stay on track with our goals for the new year. Adding vitamin C, super helpful with that one. A couple other ones here. I know that a lot of people have questions around creatine and protein powders. I think protein powder, I've been all over the map on this. Like, hey, do we need the cleanest protein powders or do we just need a protein powder? One, get one that you digest well, and two, make sure it's one that you're going to actually take. So if the mixability, if it's the best protein on the market, but the mixability is not good and the taste isn't good and you're not actually going to have it, I would much rather have you take something that maybe has like some flavor to it. So maybe it's got some stevia or something in there, some artificial stuff, but you're actually going to have it. I think getting the proper amount of protein typically is going to outweigh maybe the small negatives that you think from those things. So don't get too concerned with that. Find something that you like and that you digest well and get that in. We need about 1 gram of protein for our body weight. So this is kind of our ideal healthy body weight. We want to be hitting at least 1 gram. I've talked about that in other places and in other times. So if you have questions about how much protein, check out either our nutrition one from earlier. I think that was week 2 or week 3. Check that out, or you can send me a message at peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com. Creatine, one of the safest things that we can be taking. People have had all sorts of questions about creatine. It is so well studied and very, very safe. Men and women, young to old, should be taking creatine. This is such an important supplement that we can be taking that can improve our health overall, not just our physical health. A lot of people think about it as like the bro thing to be taking in the gym, but it is good for everybody. It is good for our cognition. It is good for our energy levels, male, female, in the gym a bunch or not. Creatine is great for us. And I believe that's all I got for you guys. So let's zoom out, take a quick look at these all over again. What we got is the base stuff for physical body is foam roller, ball, resistance bands, and dry brushing. This is kind of like your lower budget stuff. If you can just grab a couple things and you're just getting started, start here. If you're like, hey, I'm already really into my health and I'm ready to invest in it, right here. And then another big piece I would say for you guys is like work with somebody who knows what they're doing, can look at your goals and say, hey, here's where you want to go. Let's actually build a solid plan so you're not wasting your time. You have the structure. You just have to show up and they can take care of all that stuff for you guys. So if you're interested in working with a coach like myself, again, peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com, and I can help you through those things if you're ready to take it up from a kind of base level of like, hey, I'm just getting started here and you want to invest a little bit. Getting some of these things, working with a coach can be very valuable to you. Then we talked supplements, all sorts of stuff, kind of broken down into categories for you guys, kind of the like natural stuff here. We got our mushrooms, mostly our vitamins, minerals here, and then some extra bonus ones here that are just typically we think about these more around like working out, but super important for our nutrition. We need to be hitting our protein goals, and creatine is just like the magic one for us. Creatine protein powder. So you guys, that is the entire foundational health series. We talked about goals and guidance and setting those goals, nutrition, breathing, sleep, movement, recovery, habits, and finally our fun last one is these extra little tools we can have. I hope you enjoyed this series, all 8 pieces of it. If you only caught some of them, go back, watch the whole series, especially the goal setting and the habits. They are foundational to being successful with your health goals. Again, if you guys need anything, reach out to me, peakhealthrevolution@gmail.com. Go crush this year.